Hilchas Sanhedrin v'inshna mesurin lahem Perik Revi. So the Rambam in the first Perik would discuss the chiyuv of being memane dayanim, that there's the Bezdin Hagodol, and then the Sanhedrin Ktana, which was in Pesach HaZorah and Pesach HaRabayis, and also in those ayoris which were roi to have a Sanhedrin Ktana of Chav Gimel. Then those that aren't roi, so then there's a minui of Shleisha Dayanim, that's considered a Bezdin of Shleisha. Then the Rambam discussed in Perik Beis who's eligible to be part of that Bezdin, what kind of qualifications do you have to be part of the Bezdin Hagodol, Nalderezev, the Sanhedrin Ktana, and then what qualification do you need to be in a Bezdin Shel Shleisha. Then the Rambam discussed in Perik Gimel the times that the Bezdin sits. The Bezdin and the Ayoris, they would sit from after Shachris until Seif Shor Shishis, and the Bezdin Hagodol would sit from Tamid Shel Shachar, from time of Tamid Shel Shachar, until the time of the Tamid Shel Bein Arbayim. Now the Rambam in Perik Dalet discusses that in order to be able to be a dayan, you have to have smicha, and all the various dinim of how a person gets smicha and where you can give smicha. Perik Revi. Echad Bezdin Hagodol, a Sanhedrin Ktana, a Bezdin Sheshleisha, tzrichim sheyeh kol echad mem samach mipi samach. In other words, for a person to be a chaver in Sanhedrin, Sanhedrin Agdela, Sanhedrin Ktana, and even of a Bezdin Shel Shleisha, every person has to be samach mi samach. Now there are girsois in the Rambam that it doesn't say kol echad mem, it says echad mem, which means that only one of the people have to be samach mi samach. But the other, the Mishnah is Masakin, Tesis Yontiv, they're geiris that it should be kol echad mem. So tzrichim sheyeh kol echad mem samach mi samach. L'chur it's also mashma from the Hemshech of the Rambam. U'Moshe Rabbeinu samach Yeshua biyad. Shenema vayismich es yodav olav vayitzavehu. The smicha was actually biyad. V'chein hashivim skenim Moshe Rabbeinu samcham and v'shors aleim shchina. Now over here the Rambam doesn't say clearly that the shivim skenim was samcham biyad, but the Achreinim say there's a deal in the Achreinim. But the Achreinim say that the Pashto Lashon Rambam is that v'chein hashivim skenim is also Moshe Rabbeinu was samcham with the yad and v'shors aleim shchina. And ba'oisam askenim samchu la'acherim v'acherim la'acherim v'nimtzu hasmuchim ish mipi ish ad bizdinei shel Yeshua ad bizdinei shel Moshe Rabbeinu. So a samuch means that a person has smicha, he got smicha from someone that got smicha until he got smicha from Moshe Rabbeinu. Now ve'echad anismach mipi anosi oy mipi echad min hasmuchim afilu lehoya oisa hasamuch b'sanhedrin me'elam. In order to be qualified to be able to give smicha, you don't have to be a nasi, and you don't even have to be someone that was ever a chaver in Sanhedrin. As long as you yourself had smicha, so then you could also give over smicha to someone else. It's nachamal. So the Rambam says, in order to be a chaver in Bezdin Hagodol or in Sanhedrin Ktana or Shleisha Dayan or Bezdin Shel Shleisha, you have to have smicha. You have to be a samach and pi samach. The Seder Advarim Moshe Rabbeinu was samach Yeshua biyadav, and also the Skenim was samach biyadav. And as a result of that, the Shechina was sheir on them. And then the Rambam continues that those skenim that had smicha were semich others, and then eventually they were semich others until they continued the smicha that every person that's a samach is ultimately a samach until Beis Dinei Shel Yeshua, until Beis Dinei Shel Moshe Rabbeinu. And Lepel, you don't have to have a smicha dafka through a nasi, like someone that's oimid b'mkei Moshe Rabbeinu. We learned before that a nasi is oimid b'mkei Moshe Rabbeinu. As long as you have smicha from someone that had smicha, so that smicha is a valid smicha. Now the Maaseh was v'ketzad yasmicha. Halacha beis v'ketzad yasmicha l'deiros leishi yismuchu yedei mareisha zokim ela shekenu le'Rabbi. Smicha doesn't mean that you actually put your hand on him. It means only you give him the name Rabbi. V'im le'harei atu samuch v'yesh lecho rishus lodan afilu din knossos. The smicha means you're giving the person rishus in order to be able to dan even din knossos, not only din imamas, which we'll learn later. Even people that don't have smicha can sometimes be dan din imamas. Masha'inkin, in order to be done dinis knossos, you have to be a samach. So the gather of smicha is not actually putting your hand on him, but rather just giving him rishus to give smicha. Now Lepel, Moshe Rabbeinu did put his hand. He put his hand on Yeshua, and Bepashtus he also put his hand on the skenim. So the question is the pshat is that there was like two things that are happening. In other words, there was Moshe Rabbeinu was giving smicha to the Yeshua and to the Skenim al derech that there's smicha later, which is Nesinas Rishus, and besides that there was also a smichas hayad, and that's how some people learn that. The fact that Moshe put his hand on Yeshua wasn't really part of the smicha process. The Hilupeli was v'samach yodav. The smicha process was giving him reshus to be a dayan and to be able to be done. And the putting his hand on Yeshua and Alderes on the skenim was in order that Moshe Rabbeinu's hoid went on to Yeshua, and the Shechina, which was Sheir on Moshe, was Sheir on Yeshua, and Alderes on the skenim, and that was the inyan of the smichas hayad. Sekila, there's two inyanim. One is the smichas hayad of Moshe on Yeshua and the skenim, and one is the nesinas rishus, which is the called smicha. The Maisa is the Lashon HaRambam is mashma l'chura that it went together. Moshe Rabbeinu Samach is Yeshua biyad. Shenema vayismich is Yodav Olav Yitzaveu. So in other words, when he's speaking about that, there's a din of Samuch. There's two types of Samuch. There's a Samuch of Samuch biyad. Moshe was Samach biyad. So Mele, he was mamshech himself into them biyad. I says a higher madrega of transmitting some of himself into Yeshua and Alderes of the Skenim. Masha'inkin Lideres, there's a musig of smicha, which is also a certain transferring of rishus from the masmech to the samuch, but on the other end, it's not that madrega of transferring, and therefore it's enough just nesinas rishus, and there's no need for smicha biyad. So again, we're saying whether the smicha biyad was like part of the smicha process or was the zaytika process. The Pashas Lashon HaRambam is that there is smicha and there was Moshe smicha, and Moshe smicha was biyad. Why was Moshe smicha biyad? It doesn't say. But the Pashas Advarim, because Moshe gave over more to Yeshua than a regular masma gives over to a samach. Halacha Gimel. Ve'ein seimchen smicha zu shehu mini askenu l'dayonos ela b'shleisha. So even though we said before that even someone that was never in the Sanhedrin could be masmach, but on the other end he can't be masmach alone. He has to have another two people with him. When he's giving smicha, there has to be another two people with him. And it doesn't have to be that all are smuchim. It has to be, there should be one samuch, and the other two should be together with him as part of the bezdin, and through that he gets smicha. That's what I'm saying. Ve'ein seimchen smicha zu shehi minei askeinu l'dayonos ela b'shleisha. And v'hu shehi echad mem samuch b'yacherim k'misha b'yarnu. There has to be one samuch, and together with him he has to bring another two people, and through that they're called smicha. Halacha Dalet. Ein kari elikim ele bezdin shnismuchu be'eretz Yisrael bulvad. It says v'nikra balabais el holikim, which refers to bezdin. So when is it called a bezdin, which is called elikim? Only if we're dealing with a bezdin that received smicha in Eretz Yisrael. And really, be'emes behemshech will see that there's only smicha in Eretz Yisrael. You can't really receive smicha in chutz la'aretz. You have to understand, l'chora, the vart is ele bezdin shnismuchu, which is obviously be'eretz Yisrael. I'll call upon him, ein kar elikim ele bezdin shnismuchu be'eretz Yisrael bulvad, v'heim ha'anoshim ha'chachomim ha'ru'uyin loden, Shabbat Kweisim Bezin Shalit Yisrael, like it said before, that they would send out shluchim to find people that are royal Loden. Shabbat Kweisim Bezin Shalit Yisrael, the Him Kweisim, and they designated them, and the Som Kweisim, and they gave them smicha. So those people, they are referred to as Elikim, that they're referred to as a Bezin, which is also considered Elikim. Now, the Pashtus it means, because since ultimately Moshe Rabbeinu was Seimach, this Yeshua and the Skenim. So when Moshe Rabbeinu was saying Yeshua and the Skenim, he gave, this was brought down in the Achreinim, that he gave from like the Shechina that was on him, was Sheira on Yeshua and the Skenim. And then when they were Masmich, the Skenim, the other people that were roy to get Smicha, so even though they didn't give over to them what Moshe gave to them, but on the other end, there was also transmitting from their what they received to Moshe Rabbeinu, they're transmitting to the people that are receiving smicha from them. So therefore, they are referred to as elikim. That's Shabbat Kweisim Bezin Yisrael v'him Kweisim Som Kweisim. Now, B'Rishena, hayikol mishem nismach semich l'talmidim. We learned before that you don't have to be the nasi to give smicha. You don't even have to be someone that was ever in Sanhedrin. As long as you have smicha, you could give smicha. Kol mishem nismach semich talmidav. Aber v'chacham cholku kovid lebeis Hillel hazoken, and v'yiskinu shalei ha'adam nismach el b'shus hanosi. So there was a special institution that they made that you shouldn't be seimach unless there's the rishus hanosi. The nasi doesn't have to be there; he has to give rishus, and that's din number one. And there was another thing that shalei hanosi seimach elim kein hoya av bezin imei, and v'lehi av bezin seimach elim kein hoya nosi imei. So there was two things. First of all, no one should give smicha unless they have rishus from the nasi. They don't have to have the nasi there, but they have to have rishus from the nasi. And another thing is that not the nasi should give smicha without the av bezin, and not the av bezin should give smicha without the nasi being present there. Avol shara chabura yesh lechol echad b'mlismech b'rishus hanasi. They don't need that the nasi should be present there. Av Bezdin needs the Nasi should be present there. The Nasi needs the Av Bezdin should be present there. But regular people don't need that these people should be present. They only need Rishus HaNasi. And also, V'yehu Yishu Shnayim Imei, Shas Smicha Einu B'Pox Mishleisha. So it has to be Smicha B'Rishus HaNasi. It has to be someone that's Samuch, and he has Rishus from the Nasi to transmit Smicha. And also he has together with him another two people, because Smicha is Einu B'Pox Mishleisha. Halacha Vav, Ein Seimchen Skenim B'Chutz La'aretz. You don't give smicha to skenim in chutz la'aretz. Even though the people that are giving smicha received smicha b'Eretz Yisrael, but you can't give over that smicha b'chutz la'aretz. The people that are giving smicha are still in Eretz Yisrael, and they're giving smicha to someone that's in chutz la'aretz. Ein seimchen. Ve'ein tzarich leimim hoya seimchen b'chutz la'aretz. V'anismacha b'aretz. That knows the people that are giving smicha b'chutz la'aretz is avada. They can't give smicha. Notice they have to have side the seimich and side this nismach has to be in Eretz Yisrael. Now hoya shneim b'aretz is seimchen eser. Then you can give smicha. Afal pi she'einei maseichem b'kmachot. They don't have to be together, because we said before you don't have to put your hands on them. You just have to give them rishus. So mainly you can give him rishus, even though that person you're giving rishus to is not b'makom echad with the person that's giving rishus. You send him a message, a kesunlei shehu samuch. V'neisnei rishus loden diniknosis hayol shneim bar, since they're both in Eretz Yisrael, even though they're not together. So the person that's giving smicha can give smicha to the one that's getting smicha. Now, what's called Eretz Yisrael? So here's a chiddush v'chol Eretz Yisrael she'echziku ba'elam Mitzrayim is roi l'smicha. So as generally we say that Eretz Yisrael with Oile Mitzrayim was Kedusha Yishena, is Kitchel L'Shaita, Kedusha L'Shaita, V'lei Kitchel L'Osalovit. Whereas they didn't have a Hemshech, that Kedusha. That Kedusha was Nifsak after the Churban. Masha'enkin Davka Kedusha Shnia was Kitchel L'Shaita, V'Kitchel L'Osalovit. That's how the Rambam Paskins earlier in Hilchos Trumas, how there is in Hilchos Beis HaBchira. But over here, Ligabi, this din that ain't smicha el ba'aretz. The Rambam is saying that aretz means the Eretz Yisrael, which hirziku ba'ele Mitzrayim. Halacha zayin. Yesh l'seimchen lismech afilu meya b'pam achas. You can give smicha. There's 100 people you're aware of that are royal smicha, and you're going. You have a bezin with you. The seimach has a bezin with him, so you can give smicha to 100 people at the same time. And for David HaMelech, samach shleishim elu b'yemachad. One day he gave smicha to 30,000 people. So obviously he didn't give it to each one separately. He gave it them together. To give many of them together. So Mela was saying you can give smicha to more than one person at a time. Halacha ches. And when you give smicha to someone, you don't have to give him smicha that he has a right to paskin on everything. V'yeshem l'manis l'chol ma sheyirtzu l'dvarim yichidim. If you have a person that's royal smicha, and for whatever reason you don't want to give him smicha that he should be able to paskin on everything, you only want him to give him smicha and to paskin a certain thing. So if he only knows a certain thing, so he's not royal smicha. There's no mitzvahs of someone that only knows these anyanim, these halachas, and therefore you're going to give him smicha. To be able to get smicha, you have to be someone that's royal lodin b'chol hatera. But on the other hand, you don't have to give him smicha, which is nesinus rishus lodin. B'chol hatera, you can give him a nesinus rishus b'lodin and dvarim yichidin ketzad. Chocham mufla, which is sheroy laheres b'chol hatera kula. So that's only such a person is royal smicha. Is yesh lebezin lismechei say v'litin leirishus lodin. You can give him rishus lodin, which means to be done dinim amanis. That he doesn't have rishus leheres bisaveter in things that are connected to Yeridea, for example. He only has rishus to be done on things which are connected to Chesh Mishpat. Or if fakert, yitnu rishus leheres bisaveter. He only has rishus to be murder in things which are connected to Yeridea, be'isaveter. But Lepel, he has no rishus. And he gave dinim amanis. Oi yitnu rishus lezeh ilozeh. Avalei lodin diniknosis. In other words, he can be done dinimominus, he can be done isaveter, but he can't be done diniknosis. Oy lodin diniknosis. Avalei lahater pcheres b'muman. There's a din that pcher, in order to become mutter, he has to have a mum. So lahater pcheres b'muman, he doesn't have rishus. Ayitnu rishus lahater in the dolin b'vad. Elidis ksamim. In other words, they're giving him rishus that he should be matter in the dorim, or that he should be able to be re'eksam to establish whether or not it's a kesem of a dam toyer. In other words, there's a maratoyer and a maratome. So he has rishus to liris ksomim and to tell us whether or not it's a kesem of a maratoyer or maratome. Mashaik and other things he doesn't have rishus. So, a person that's roy lahiris b'chol atira kula, Bezdin can give him rishus for specific things, even though the other things he doesn't have rishus for. In Rambam, it seems that in order to be mater neder, you have to have a certain level of smicha. The question is, the Ran asks in the Dorim, that l'chure, we don't find that there's a psamusik of smicha for hataras nedarim. The hataras nedarim could be either shleisha hedietis or through a yochid mumche, but it doesn't have to be a yochid, which is a mumche that has smicha. So on that he says that normally you can't be mater neder if there's someone that's gadol mimenu b'chachma. If there's someone's gadol mimenu b'chachma, he shouldn't be mater neder. Masha'inkin, if he was given smicha for hataras nedarim, so that enables him to be mater neder even in a place where there's someone that's gadol mimenu b'chachma. Halacha tes. Just like you can give smicha for a specific inyan, so the same thing you can give smicha for a certain amount of time. Till the nasi comes here, for the time being, when you're not going to be together with us, you could paskin. Mashenkin, when you come back and you're with us, so then you have no rishus. Halacha Yud. Now we said that in order to be mechabel smicha, even if you're getting smicha for a specific thing, but you have to be roy to have smicha b'chol ateiru kula. For whatever reason, they're only giving you one thing. Now the din is someone that is a summa b'ayin achas. He could paskin din imamas. He could be part of a bezin shel shleisha. Masha'inkin to paskin din nefashos. Someone that's to paskin din nefashos. Someone that's a summa b'ayin achas is not eligible to paskin b'din nefashos. So that the Ram says the halacha yud chacham mufla shahay summa b'eini achas is afal pi shehu roy lodin dinim amris lusharoy ledinim amris, because someone that's a summa b'eini achas could be done dinim amris, but ain't same chenesel ledinim amris. He cannot receive smicha. Why? That's like we said, that in order to be able to get the smicha for a specific thing, you have to be roy for everything. And not only you have to be roy for everything in the sense that you have to know everything. The pasuk dvarim, you have to know kol ateiru kula, even though you're only getting smicha in a particular part of the table, leheris or lodin. Over here we're saying that you have to also be eligible mitzad the guf. In other words, if a person says summa b'ayin achas he's not able to be paskin in din and nefashos, but pashas he's able to paskin a din of mominus. But on the other end, since he's not able to paskin a din of nefashos, he's not eligible to be mekabel smicha even for din of mominus. Halacha Yudalef. So the seder of smicha is that there's Moshe Rabbeinu was Semich Yeshua and the Skenim, and from there it was Nimshil the smicha. And the smicha is, as we said, that it has to be a samuch that's transmitting smicha to the next person that's royal the smicha, and together with him there has to be another two people. Halacha Yudalef. Harei shelo be'eretz Yisrael ela samuch echad. There was only one samuch. Is Moshe Shnayim b'tzidei and v'seivach shivim ke'echad ezeh achar zeh. So with the two people that's next to him, which makes it into a bezin, he could go ahead and be seivach 70 either together ezeh achar zeh, and v'achar kach yasahu v'hashivim bezin hagadol, and then the yismuchu b'tidinim achirim. So in other words, we started off with one samuch, and that samuch took together with him another two people, and now we have another 70 skenim. So now we have the Bezin HaGadol, we have the 70 skenim, which are smuchim, and then the Bezin HaGadol are memana other batidinim. Notice to be mana but a bezdin in the ayoris of Bezin of Chav Gimel, and Alderazeh the Bezin on the Harabayis, the Bezin of Pesach Hazorah. That is all something that has to be done through the Bezin HaGadol. So that's din number one. So if we have one person lefachas that has smicha, so from him you could extend it to have 70 people and etc. Now here the Ram says a chiddush nidin li advarim sheis imiskimu kol hachacham sheberetz Yisrael lemanis dayonim v'lismechesam. There's all the dayonim of Eretz Yisrael, all the chacham of Eretz Yisrael were memane dayonim, and they gave them smicha. Is harei elu smuchim. So then these people, that all the Chacham of Eretz Yisrael were memana, that they should have smicha, that to memana the dayon of lismechesam, that's considered smuchim. V'yeshlam loden dine knosses, and that gives them a right to be done dine knosses. And also v'yeshlam lismechacherim, they have a din of someone as if he received smicha from ish mepiish till Moshe Rabbeinu. V'yeshlam lismechacherim. And Cain, if that's the case, that you can make smicha even if you have no one that really receives smicha. is lama hoyo chachamim mitzdarin al asmicha kedei shlibotlu din iknosim Yisrael. We find that in Chazal that the chacham were worried that there'll be in this battle smicha, and maybe they won't be able to be din iknosis. L'chura, the Rambam is saying there's an eitzah that even if there's nobody's a samuch, but all the Chachmi Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael give someone smicha, they become samuch. So he says, L'fishi Yisrael mefuzorin, v'yevshe sheyaskimu kulam. It's hard that should be yaskimu kulam. It's impossible sheyaskimu kulam. V'im hoyer sham samuch and be samuch, so then ain't it tzara das kulam, eludon din iknosis, l'kel shari nismak mipibaz. So as if you have someone that's a samuch, so he can be done din iknosis without having anyone's askama. Mashenkin over here, in order to make someone into a samach, you're going to have the askama of kol chachmi Yisrael, and since they're mefuzarim and in das kulam shava, so therefore it's not so simple to be able to actually accomplish such a type of smicha. And then the Rambam concludes v'adover tzarech echra. Now this musik that you should be able to make smicha even without a samach is adover tzarech echra. And so yadua that there was a big machlekes in the Zman of the Beis Yosef. Benegay the Sinyan, the Mari Beirav, which is the Rebbe of the Beis Yosef, he held that you could give smicha, and there was a story that they gave smicha to the Beis Yosef, and then there was a big machlekes, the Radvaz and others that argued with this Inyan, and they tied it that there's no real smicha. You can't really have smicha bisman hazeh. But I'll call upon this is the Yisei Advarim, where the Rambam is saying that these are niranli of the Rambam, and then the Rambam concludes v'hadover tzarech echra. Halacha Yud Beis. Bezn shenismuchu be'Eretz Yisrael. And then the Yotzu l'chutz laretz is harein don dinik knosses b'chutz laretz. Ki derek shedon b'aretz. In other words, you can't receive smicha in chutz laretz. But someone that receives smicha in Eretz Yisrael, he could function as a samuch in chutz laretz. Shan Sanhedrin neheges b'aretz u'b'chutz laretz. And v'hu sheyesmuchim b'aretz. You have to receive smicha b'aretz. Side the seimach and side the nismach. Both have to be b'aretz when he receives smicha. But on the other end, once he receives smicha and he goes to chutz laretz, so he could act as a dayan which has smicha. Memele, it could be done dinei knossos. Halacha Yud Gimel. Rashi Goli shebebavel bimcame melech hinendim. So there was a musik called Rashi Golius in Bavel. They were eneklach of David HaMelech, ben achar ben from David HaMelech, and they were bimcame melech hinendim. And therefore, just like a melech, there's a din of hefker bez and hefker. So din of malchusa dinner rather, that there's a din of the malchusa. So that is that since they're a melech, so they have a right to institute halach has been again the rights to be able to paskin. Rashi Golish of Bavel mokim melech named them, and therefore v'yeshlam lirdis sa'am b'chol mokim. They have a right to control the am b'chol mokim in their dini mominus, not based on cheshem mishpat, based on dini hamelech, and also v'lodin aleim bein ratzu bein leiratzu. So they have a right both things. I lirdis sa'am. In order to institute halach rules for the Am, and also Lodin ben Ratzu ben Leiratzu. Shanamel Yosef Shevet Yehuda, which refers to Eli Rashi Golish Bebavel, that they're considered a hemshech of Yehuda, of Melech and Memela. They have the right to control, to lead this bomb, and also Lodin, even Ratzu Leiratzu. Now v'chol dayin haroi Lodin, shenosni Rish Golis Rishus. Now when a Rish Golis gives Rishus to a dayin which is Roi Lodin, that doesn't give him smicha. That doesn't give him smicha. Memele is still not able to be dan dini knosses. But on the other end, he has a right to dan dini mominus. V'chol dayin haroi lodin shenosli yirish golos rishus yeshlei lodin b'chol elam kula. It could be done everywhere, not only in Babel, everywhere. It's Yisrael, all of chutz laretz. Avol pi sheli rotzu balidinim beiboros beim chutz laretz. Avol pi she'ein don dini knosses. In other words, the fact that the Reish Geli gave him rishus is not going to entitle him to dan dini knosses because Lapeli has no smicha. But on the other end, he's able to be done dini mominus. Now that's din number one. Now then the Rambam continues. Kol dayin haroi lodin shenosli bezin shveretz Yisrael rishus lodin. The someone that's roi lodin and the bezin shveretz Yisrael gave him rishus lodin. Now when the bezin shveretz Yisrael gives him rishus lodin, it means also that he has smicha. It means he has smicha. But on the other end, he has taka smicha, and that entitles him to be done dini knosses. But he could only force himself on to be done only in Eretz Yisrael. Mashenkin, that rishus that he has doesn't entitle to him to be able to be done people that don't want to be done in front of him in chutz laretz. That's his din. Kol dayin haroi lodin shnosni bezish Eretz Yisrael rishus lodin is yeshli lodin b'chol Eretz Yisrael u'bayoris ha'imdes al ha'gvulim afal pi sheli ratzu balidin. So that gives them the right. Just like we said before, that if Rashi Golish Bebavel, that gives them the right everywhere, b'chol eilam. if the Bezdin in Eretz Yisrael gives him a right only for the Eretz Yisrael and for the Ayoros Eidos Al Gvul. Aval b'chutz loretz ein rishusan meyalis leilokam as balidinim. They don't have a right to force the balidinim to come to them. In other words, that they should be the dayan and they should force the balidinim that they're calling them to a dictator. They don't have that right because they, as a result of the fact that they received a rishus in Eretz Yisrael from the Bezdin in Eretz Yisrael. They're able to be done diniknosis because we're dealing with people that received the rishus from the Bezdin Eretz Yisrael, which includes smicha. So in other words, on one hand, he got more because he has a right to be done diniknosis, but on the other hand, he could only be done for someone that's reitz lod netzli. When a person gets rishus from Rish Golus, so that's rishus goes for the entire world. But on the other hand, it's not smicha. Memele, he can't be done diniknosis. When he gets rishus from the Bezdin of Eretz Yisrael, so that rishus also gives him the right to be done diniknosis. It gives him the right to be koifa that people in Eretz Yisrael or the Ayoros Eidos Al Gvul should be done in front of them. But on the other hand, it doesn't give him a right to be able to koifa people outside of Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz to be able to be done in front of them. Halacha tezvav mi she'eini roi lodin, someone that's not roi lodin, either mipnei she'eini yidea, either because he's a person that doesn't really know the halachas, ein mipnei she'eini hagen, he's not a person that's hagen, he's not a person that's a yirei shamayim that does the things that he's supposed to do, that we can rely that he's going to paskin properly. And she'aver Rish Golus v'nosim l'rishus, that the Rish Golus was over lepel, he gave him rishus, a shato bezdin v'nosim l'rishus, is ein a rishus me'elis l'klum. So there was a din, there was a gather of someone that the Rish Golus gave him rishus, there was a gather of someone that Bezdin Shel Eretz Yisrael gave him rishus, but all these rishus only helps if this person is taka roy. Mashenkin, if he's not roy, so this rishus doesn't help anything. Shahamagdish ba'umum lemizbeach ein kedusha cholol. So the Rambam compares giving rishus to someone that's in a roy to someone that's being magdish ba'umum lemizbeach. Just like magdish ba'umum lemizbeach doesn't get any kedushas aguf, because kedusha aguf can't be chal on a ba'umum. So al derezeh, this kedusha of this specialty of being a dayan, which is roy lohiris, is only if you're roy. Mashenkin, if you're not roy, even if you were appointed by people that are in a position to appoint you, but nevertheless that appointment wasn't chal. The shaila is, where is this comparison between a shefer that was minu that's not roy and a balmum was there? They bring it says sheftim v'sheftim titul l'cha b'chol sharecha, and then later on, a few psukim later, it says l'situl l'cha sheir koleitz eitzel mizbach Hashem alikecha. So from here we learn out this comparison that just like eitzel mizbach Hashem alikecha, if you magdish a balmum, it's not hegdish, no klush zaguf on a balmum. So huadin, there's no real chalois on someone that minu if he's not roy to be mimuna.